Hey YouTube, Mikelibertarian here. I want to update you on a situation that I covered in a video a couple weeks ago entitled Gay Couple Beaten at Reggie's Bar in Baton Rouge. First, I want to offer a retraction for rather key detail which turns out wasn't the case. In my original video I had said as part of the story that when he was accosted by the Reggie staff member, he was accosted because he had a drink in his hand, despite the fact that he had a wristband on. Well, he was accosted because he had he was allegedly accosted because he had a drink in his hand without a wristband, and it turns out that he actually didn't have a wristband on. But while that can change the judgment of that particular element of the situation, when you put it in context and when you understand why it turns out why he didn't have a wristband on, it actually doesn't really change the context. It doesn't change the problem of him being singled out, because as it turns out, when he had originally entered the bar, he'd shown his ID to the bouncers. They'd let him in. They neglected to give him a wristband. So the proverbial first wall of defense towards guarding against underage drinking has just made a mistake. Now, maybe that doesn't necessarily anything come of that, because I mean, if he doesn't have a wristband, then he shouldn't be able to buy a drink. So, all right, so it kind of sucks that somebody who is overage isn't going to be able to get a drink. But you know, he can always go back and try to get a wristband. Except that when he goes to get a drink, he goes to the bar, buys a drink, doesn't run into any problems, doesn't have a wristband on him. They don't ask for his ID at all, and he even opens a tab, giving them his credit card. And so he had to open tab the whole night. It's, again, towards the end of the night that he has another drink in his hand, no wristband, that the floor walker walks up to him and accuses him of being underage and tries to kick him out, take his drink away, all that. And then that's when the whole thing started. The problem is, and I brought this up in my first video, Reggie's is notorious for turning a blind eye to underage drinking. It is one of a few freshman bars for LSU students here in Baton Rouge. They don't really enforce, and they don't really enforce underage drinking. And you can see from the first two proverbial walls of defense to guard against underage drinking that, on the part of the Reggie staff, the bouncers don't give him a wristband, because apparently it wasn't needed. Because when he goes to the bar, not having a wristband didn't prevent him from getting a drink, and when he didn't have a wristband, it didn't even prompt them to ask for his identification. It's only after spending the night being gay, dancing with his boyfriend, that the floor walker decides, oh, well, you don't have a wristband, you're out of here for being underage. Again, not really asking for his ID, which would have cleared the whole situation up, I would think. But no, it was, make no mistake, even without the wristband, this was completely about targeting a couple of homosexuals because they didn't want them in their bar. And understanding that as a freshman bar that turns a blind eye to underage drinking, this is a Friday night. The place is packed. And the 22-year-old homosexual gets accosted, but not the fact that, like, most of the other people in the crowd, most of them are freshmen, most of them have drinks in their hand, have a drink or have been drinking, and a lot of people would also have a drink in their hand. They don't get accosted. The 22-year-old homosexual does. And when he is accused of being underage and kicked out for it, somehow his boyfriend, who was underage and wasn't drinking, somehow he has to go too. How does that doesn't make sense. That's not how it works. At least not in a just society who's transparent about their rules. And I mean, the fact that the younger boyfriend who wasn't drinking also has to leave proves that this is all about homosexuality, because there is no reason why the person you're dancing with has to leave because you were drinking without a wristband. That's not how it works. It just simply isn't. So, as you can see, a retraction, but at the same time new details have come out, meaning that the retraction doesn't end up weakening the case. Who would have thought? Anyway, the second thing I wanted to bring up in the update is that as of today, we've finally gotten some media attention. The LSU campus paper by students, the LSU Daily Reveille, published front page, top of the fold today, the story titled "Conflicting Reports Surface About Gay Assault at Reggie's. Organizations Advise Boycott." Now, the issue I just covered aside, which wasn't really dealt with too much, what they mean by conflicting reports is essentially the good old-fashioned the gay couple who are the victims have said this part of the story, said this version of the story, the one that's true, and then the Reggie staff covering their ass have told this story in which they don't know nothing about no assault whatsoever. They've flatly denied that the assault, which began in their bar, was allowed, and then they were eventually kicked out where it would continue. They denied that the assault happened at all in their bar, and in terms of having kicked both of them out and what happened outside in the parking lot within spitting distance of their bouncers, in fact, to laughter from their bouncers, apparently they know nothing about that. I mean, at least 3 of their, there's usually 2 bouncers out there back when I went, and I know that's usually how it works, especially at a heavily frequented place in Tigerland. They usually have 2 bouncers out there. Then there's the Reggie staff member who had kicked him out in the first place. So we have 2, maybe 3 witnesses at least who witnessed the assault in the parking lot, and now the Reggie's manager is going to say, oh, after investigating and asking all the employees, they don't know nothing about no assault. That's a red flag for they know exactly what happened, and they're pretty sure that they're guilty of something. So, just thought y'all should know how things are going. It's good to see we're getting media attention. In addition to that, the LSU LGBTQ activist group for students, Spectrum, has announced in the article that they're calling for a boycott, and they're also maybe planning protests. And then the Capital Area Alliance, Capital City Alliance is an organization in Baton Rouge which is a non-profit organization advocating for LGBTQ civil rights, and says that they're trying to improve LGBTQ quality of life and standard of living, and so they pledge that they're going to put friendly pressure on the police department to sincerely investigate the incident. And in those terms, there's actually very interesting, for those of you who don't follow college American football, LSU's original starting quarterback this year was Jordan Jefferson, until he was involved in an assault at a bar in Baton Rouge. In fact, the story goes that he kicked, when they had a guy down in the parking lot, he, so far as they've been able to show enough for indictment, he definitely kicked some guy in the face, and so he was arrested, and his indictment came down about a week or 2 ago. And so we know that in 2 months, when the police really investigate an incident like this, when the perpetrator is famous, 2 months later we have an indictment. Now we're going to find out from this case if in a month and a half, which I doubt. I mean, yeah, you expect them to work a little quicker on celebrity cases, but now we know that if it takes too much longer than the next month and a half to even hear anything about charges filed or arrests made or indictments even scheduled, then we should become concerned that, maybe when it's this gay couple who are victims, that the police department maybe doesn't really care about justice. But when it's the star quarterback that people kind of want out of the way because the second string is better anyway, and when he gets indicted and end up kicking off the team, then you start to get concerned that maybe the police aren't practicing justice even-handedly as they should. So anyway, tell me what you think. Rate this video, leave a comment in the description. I even have a link to the LSU Reveille's article in the description. You can follow it there. Their comment section seems to be broken, or something about their automated approval system seems a little tweaked at the moment. I don't know. Maybe the question limit is maybe the comment limit's a lot shorter than I think it is, but I tried to comment earlier and it didn't. But anyway, if you get a chance and if you'd like to go into the LSU Reveille's site, you can comment on the article there. More comments on that article make it a bigger story for the coming weeks, which I would certainly hope it is. Thanks in advance, and thanks for listening.